Hi there. In this video, I'm going to do something that I've been meaning to do for quite a while, and that is to test all these watercolor papers. The test that I have in mind is basically to use the same color on all of these different papers and see how they dry and what's the difference if there is any. Because I've been using the arches for a very long time, and when I do my watercolor sketchbooks, I use arches paper, which is quite expensive, as you may know. So I wanted to see if I can use a different paper, not just for the price, but sometimes you might find one of these other papers at a good price, discounts maybe, or just to see if there is any other paper that I quite like the result. But mostly is to see if the paper, if according to the paper, the paint dries in a different way. So like sometimes they might dry duller or remain more brilliant and all that. So I have lots of different papers, from Fabriano to Canson, Honeymoon, not sure if you say that, Waterford, and more Fabriano, and also Winsor & Newton. So this one here, and then I have Fabriano 5. So I have cut strips of paper for all of these, and I'm going to use this, and then I'm going to cut them all the same sides and put a little hole in here and put them all together, so I have a reference handy when I want to see what the paint looks like on the paper. So let's go and do that. All right, so I have some paints here, and these are not mixed paints, they're just one pigment. So this is transparent orange, permanent carmine, Antwerp blue, and Windsor green. I think this is the blue shade. So, and what I'm going to do is just use the same on all of them. So I'm just going to basically paint a swatch like this. And then just see how it dries. Some of these are shorter than the rest because it was just a sample paper that I have in my stash, so I didn't have more availability. It's interesting to see the difference with these papers as well that are not very white. You can see the difference between, well, I hope you can, between this paper and that paper. This one is more white. And I'm using mostly hot pressed paper. So up to here, these are all hot pressed because I do botanical painting, so I don't normally use cold press. But I wanted to add some cold press sample paper here as well, just in case someone is interested in this type of experiment and you use cold press. It's also quite interesting to see. Okay, this is actually hot pressed, so it needs to go there. All right, so that's the orange. And now I'm going to do the red one. This is doing something strange here. That's the Fabriano Artistico. It could be true that, most of this paper now is not very reliable. I haven't really used it for my painting, but it's done something a bit funny. I think paper is something very personal as well, like for the brushes. Sometimes they ask me what brush I use, but it is so personal that I can't really, I can tell you what I use, but you have to find your perfect brush, really, because it's the way you paint that makes the difference. I can't really use the pointy long brushes like, for example, the Billy Shower ones. I have them, they're lovely, but they're not very good for my type of painting, or at least the way I paint. And I can see that some of these papers dry more quickly than others. So the cold pressed, they're still wet, the color that I applied before, while most of the hot pressed are dry, and the arches is dry. Most of them are dry. Only this one, the Canson Moulin du Roi, this is the first color is still wet, which is interesting because it means that you can work on it for a bit longer. You have more time if you like to lift the color. I don't normally lift color, but if you like to do that, it's maybe you can do that better with this type of paper. I can already see that this paper, the new Botanical Ultra Smooth, it dries a little bit more dull than the arches, for example, or the Canson Heritage one. I'm trying to apply it in a similar way in all of the papers. Try not to make a mess as well, which I'm very good at doing. The first color is still a little bit wet. This is the Winsor & Newton. And the second color is very wet. So that one stays wet for a long time as well. Okay, that's the blue done. So I just wanted to try different pigments just to have a general idea. All right, so these are all the samples done. And let's see, so this is the one I use, is the Arches hot pressed. And I can start comparing them So this paper here, actually, the Waterford Canson, is not really much different than the arches. And if I have to be honest, I think it's even slightly more saturated in this one. Let's see. Then I have the Fabriano 5 and the Fabriano Artistico. So I think this one is actually, they're slightly different, and this is a little bit cheaper than the Fabriano 5. And I don't like the way the paint dries here. It's all kind of, you can see the paper texture underneath, so it's a bit weird. And it's done this little like things here with the white showing. It's kind of, the paint is sort of expanded in a weird way. The Fabriano 5, it's okay. It's not too far off from the arches, so it's not too bad. I'm going to put them separately. And then we have the New Botanical Smooth, which again is not too bad, although the red is kind of changed a little bit. It's according to the colors as well. So the orange is okay, but the red is a bit more dull. You can see more of the white, and probably the blue a little bit as well. With the Saunders Waterford, this is a new type of paper with a smoother surface, and not a huge amount of difference here. So maybe a little bit in the red, but pretty similar. And this is the Saunders Waterford hot pressed. So this is a newer version and it's whiter, and this is a previous version. Yes, the colors in this one are a bit more dull than the arches. And this is Bockingford hot pressed white, and yeah, not too bad. The red and the blue look a bit duller, while the green looks a bit more saturated, but probably because here there was a little bit more paint, because where there is less paint, it's more or less the same as the arches. And this is the Moulin du Roi, again hot pressed, and similar, but again these two, but even the green, they're a bit duller than the arches. This is a watercolor board. It's from Honeymoon, and it's the Leonardo hot pressed watercolor board. It's not too bad. Again, the red looks more brilliant in the arches, but it's not too bad. And then we have again Animule, but this is it's watercolor board, but it's Cézanne. I'm not entirely sure what's the difference between the two. I need to check it. But here I can see that the colors are much more duller than the arches paper, so I don't really like that one. And this is the Canson Moulin du Roi hot pressed 100% cotton. So I think most of them are 100% cotton. Only the New Botanical paper is 50%, but it's still acid free. So this one here, the red is and the blue is much more duller, much more muted than the arches, so not very happy with that. This one is the Winsor & Newton hot press paper, 300 grams, and again most of them are 300 grams except for maybe the watercolor board, and yeah, which is a bit thicker. So the Winsor & Newton is not too bad, but again the blue and the red, Yeah, and the green. Okay, all of them. Looking at them, I can see that the color in the arches is more brilliant than in Winsor and Newton. I might try doing a second layer, see what happens. And this is the Saunders Waterford hot press high white. So it's a bit whiter than the arches. I'm not sure if it shows on camera, but it's a little bit whiter. But again, arches wins again because, at least for me, because the colors are more brilliant than this. And then we have the cold press paper, which I can't really compare to the arches because this is a hot pressed, but we can see that this one, the L'Aquarelle Canson Heritage, is much more duller than the Fabriano Artistico Extra White. And these two are both Fabriano Artistico. One is normal white or traditional white, and one is extra white. So the colors look a bit darker in this one, in fact. So yes, I think for me, arches still wins the race. There are some close competitors though. So if I want to make a watercolor sketchbook, for example, I don't have to use arches all the time. I can use one of these. I will re-review them and put them separately and maybe add a little sort of tick saying, I like this one, and a little cross saying, that one is definitely a no. But I'm going to collect all of them like this and punch a little hole. And so I have a reference from when I want to see what the colors look like in the different papers. So I hope you have enjoyed this little review. If you have any suggestions, I'm open to suggestions. Leave them in the comments. And if you liked the video, don't forget to like it and share it. And I'll see you in the next review. Bye.